Hello, Iam Keyth. How are you? So there was a point to all of that, and I will lead it. That's my mom in hospice. Mm, you could say that she's dying of congestive heart failure and things, CPO and things like that, but there's other stuff going on. So this is a reply, and there's going to be a point to all that. I'm going to come to it, but let me just say, this is a reply. I'm in Big Bear. I'm at my parents' house. Beautiful. This is a reply to a guy who put a nice message on the Truth Calkins. I don't know what it's called. Success as a Vegan. I'll put a link in there to the Truth Calkins video that I did over a year ago. I got a couple Truth Calkins videos in the archive he's been wanting me to get up, and I just got so much going on. I just returned back permanently to home after living at the Vipassana Center for 7 months, working my ass off, helping them expand. Anyways, so I want to talk about with this a very nice message down a road that I can't tell you that I've ever invested in as far as like what diet works for human beings. So his argument was that ketogenic vegan, and I do want to emphasize ketogenic vegan from my point of view. Truth Calkins moves in and out of always being ketogenic, but whether it's vegan and live raw vegan or occasionally bits of animal products, I don't, I personally spiritually can't get behind anything other than vegan. So this guy makes the argument to the starchy diet, and it's also this line of thinking that he's doing is coming from the point of view of what did we once do as human beings, like as if we once knew what we were doing and we've just gone astray. I think we're kind of coming into who we are. So meaning, and this line of thinking is very much in the realm of the sort of Weston A. Price, which is crap in my opinion. He went and did research on indigenous, untouched by industrial evolutions communities around the world. So it's a nice idea, and he more or less looked at it all from his point of view, which was as a dentist, more or less observing tooth structure, and all these things come into play, but to just take isolation of this result equals that result is not the whole picture. Not the whole picture. But, and so let's stick with the Weston A. Price thing for a bit, because this is, and again, he came to the conclusion that, which is a whole line of thinking that's, I don't know, that book by Sally Fallon and this whole, all these people that are basically associated with Weston A. Price. I forget the Sally Fallon book, but it basically says that we're, need to be, to a lesser greater degree carnivore, and it also is, I guess, kind of the birthplace of the whole paleo primal kind of thing, which I investigated for a very short time, which I'm happy that I did, and I found out that it was, firstly, for my makeup, was foolish, and I also very quickly saw degradation in myself, which is my eyes were sinking back into my head. I was getting black circles around my eyes, which was from excessive protein, and my joints were hardening up. And I've always been very, at 57, now I'm in healthier shape than I've ever been. I'm basically living an old school raw style diet. We'll talk about that in another video, as I'm just coming into completely doing all of that. So let's just say that Weston A. Price neglected in his, well, of course it went against his parameters that he was doing his research on, but he didn't visit any monasteries in Asia where people have been doing vegetarian diets for thousands of years. So, as we get organized, here comes my big point. As we get organized, we figure out that vegetarianism, veganism is the way for evolved people that are connecting to spirit, that are connecting to truth. And again, let's just make sure we toss out the window a lot of other stuff. Firstly, saying that we are spiritual beings, and that's where this whole blog is for the rest of my life on fucking YouTube. We are spiritual beings in physical bodies. So determining health from the performance of athletes is dumb. I personally have gotten to a point of finding such health, and as you discover health more and more, I look at people, for example, and this is a note to Vegetable Police. Not that he even looks at my fucking blog or anything like that, but I don't really give a shit. But another person that's basing a diet off of athletic performance or how muscular you are. I guarantee you most of these people cannot touch me when it comes to actual profound human mobility and strength, which comes from yoga and comes from Asian physical practices. Things like yoga, Tai Chi, any number of these things, Qigong, and again, a meditation practice. So my point is, let me get back to addressing, reeling this in, and I'm just sort of trying to discount lines of thinking to where what you're using to make deductions for what's going on. So let me just say that scientific studies, this is a thing that I've come to with some people, because I've always kind of done my own thing, and now I'm getting around kind of some more wellness people. I spend a lot of time in the sun, and I've cured some like sort of skin cancery things. I had one thing on the right side by my right sideburn, which I cured with MSM and DMSO. MSM cream and DMSO, the two of them mixed together, and that just sort of dissolved that stagnation, whatever's going wrong with the sun. Did that fairly quickly, and now I have a thing on my nose, which, was around 2 years ago. I was hiking with my friend John and some other people in my yoga sangha, and I was talking about that I'd done this, and now I had a thing on my nose. And my yoga teacher, he's a great yoga practitioner, but he's also got some pretty firm planting of his feet inside of the matrix as far as collective conscious and wellness. And he goes, "I'd have that checked if I was you." And it fired off a defensive mechanism in me of have that checked, because I've come like over, what would be then that he said then, but also things that I had happened to me in 2019 of where I actually checked in with the allopathic doctor's world. But the moment he said it, this went off in me. But then, the universe gives you little eddies and flows and messages for you to, like, if you want to listen to, you can gain a lot of wisdom. This is downloads, spiritual downloads, connections to the universe, which are always connections to yourself, connections to your highest potential, which are always the things that are so much more true than motherfucking science, than motherfucking what people fucking think they know as a fucking collective. Because it's not completely stupid. You can do what you want to do, but where I'm going with this is, I had an injury from climbing, which allopathic medicine wanted to do something stupid. We won't get into that. And then I had a body surfing accident, which I thought I was going to die, and allopathic medicine was stupid. And I healed all this stuff myself. not my finger, but we'll figure that out, and things come like with me with HIV, AIDS. According to fucking science, that's not curable. I cured it, okay, with help from Truth Calkins, of course, and myself, but so what fired me up, I haven't lost my story, with when my yoga teacher looked at my nose and said I'd have that checked, and my first reaction was, who's qualified to check it? What doctor is aware of a body that has been raw vegan all of its adult life, that have done the things that I do? And this is my point of, like, when you start deducting all of this sort of stuff and you don't know what is the constitution of that body. For example, a body that's fully loaded, like, every day with cultured food, with probiotic food. This is not something that people study. They study, like, the basic dumb person, the lowest common denominator, the average. So when you start doing research and you start looking, like, if you've been floating above the top, if you're the cream of, firstly, nutrition all your life, which I have been. I've been vegetarian and obsessed with nutrition and just seeing that, not for any obsessive way, of just knowing in my heart that that's the right way. And I've gotten off course from time to time with even some great people. Not Ann Wigmore and not Viktoras Kulvinskas, which are all old school raw. I consider that stuff completely legit. For the 95% most part, especially since they are into spiritual thinking with nutrition. Super important. But, so where was I? I was with, of getting off. If you just stay with what you know, that's where I was. I've always known in my heart with stuff. Things have opened doors for me. Of, like, for example, I'm not an advocate of enlightenment through drugs or, any of that stuff. I don't need that. I came in with a well-functioning thing. It was just little windows for me to see and go, oh, okay, I want something more sustainable, less fleeting, So my point being of, this lowest common denominator, I found my train of thought again, is where if you're on the cream of the crop, firstly, if you're an amazing, high advanced spiritual person who's come here that's lifetimes of spiritual wisdom above the lowest common denominator, there's things you're going to be able to do. There's things you're going to be able to figure out. And if you allow yourself to get caught up in thinking that is not complete, and again, I'm just saying, when they do these studies, what parameters did they use? Is it somebody that's spent 20 years having reishi, having Chinese tonic herbs, taking herbs, juice fasting, for the most part not taking drugs, being positive? All these things come into play. Okay, so let's come back to, like, why I showed my mom dying basically of a broken heart. I mean, she has other physical symptoms that they can diagnose. She had complete failure of her heart basically 6 years ago. She came back really fast with some spiritual healing that I did, and that's a whole other story by itself. But nobody's really going to listen to me of what I know about spiritual healing, of emotional healing, of emotional wellness, of mental wellness. None of this comes into play with science, with studying the past. To a degree it can, but it's not something that people look at in this dimension. So let me size this up. I'm just saying, so this is where I'm just saying all these parameters are not taken into play. Did you take reishi all your life? Are you mineralized? Did you live in a non-polluted environment? Did you live in pristine, I grew up in these mountains here, and what era are you from? And then again, all of that is ridden with your ability to be super positive, to be able to process emotions in a proper mental way, to realize that we're greater beings, purpose, spirituality, all of that comes into play. And to just go, we're these mechanical robots and this certain kind of fuel does this, does that. So I'm just going to tell you where this gentleman that left a nice sort of deductive comment of saying that the starchy diet's the right diet. Well, I did that. That sort of starchy vegan thing is basically sort of a basic meditation diet, which of course I'm into meditation, and it's the kind of diet that they serve at a Vipassana center. But you know, he made the point of view of the seasonal stuff and all that. My thing is we're not evolved. There's no evidence that we are evolved from apes or the lineage of evolution. There's no proof to that. I personally have a belief that we are sort of from outer space, that we're spiritual beings. We didn't come from animals. You know, you can look a lot of this up in the Ramtha book. I'm reading a book, channel book right now called Telos, and you can throw this out the door. You should know, if you're watching my blog, or maybe you've stumbled on my blog, I'm coming completely from a spiritual point of view. Lots of evidence, archaeological evidence, truths are coming out, archaeological stuff that we're finding that people once said were fakes during this late 19th century, early 20th century, because people were trying to protect their work, their legacy, you know, of where they put all their eggs in a basket and tried to prove something, and then to discredit somebody that was actually had more evidence and they had more power. This is going on with medical stuff. This is going on with pharmaceutical stuff, of where people just lie because they want to be right. And so what I'm trying to say is that I personally, there might be constituents of a diet that you could do where a starchy diet would work. I haven't found that to be true. I don't think we ever had it. Our written history doesn't show me that we've ever had it. You know, of course, there's more speculation that our history is bigger. So that's the avenue that I'm going down, the avenue as I am working with angels, deities, of where I'm finding that we're actually from, not evolved, we fell. It's that whole flood thing that's in every old religion, you know, according to Ramtha, according to the Lumerians. You know, there was a big nuclear war here on the planet and everything was wiped out. So, and we were once great spiritual beings. And I mean, anybody that's actually done ayahuasca, and here I am going to drop back onto drugs, but I knew all this stuff before. I was really late to the drug game myself. Amazing how I can talk about a starchy diet and relate it to ayahuasca and stuff, which a lot of people will even throw this out the door just because I'm fucking talking about spirituality and anything other than like scientific atheism and shit like that. So I'm getting into 20 minutes. I'm going to cut it short, but basically my point is I'm having an incredible amount of success, and I'm using what's at hand because human beings haven't really lived that long. We're living longer. Americans live longer. We have like some of the worst diets, but we're kind of some of the happiest, most spoiled people. Humans like to emotionally be plugged in. Asians have a lot of success on that starchy diet. That's because they're super spiritual. In a sort of collective conscious way, of where they value things like meditation practices and all of that kind of stuff. And they also don't have a big connection to greed, you know, which will kill you, you know, and I could go off on that one, you know, where they're just happy with their place, just this sort of better understanding of karma. And you know, Americans, more than I think Europeans, Western Europeans, can get very sad because they don't get to acquire their materialistic dreams. I've learned with yoga and prolonged meditation that there are other things. So my point being is, do what you want. But I don't think that we once had it. So My point is just that all of these superfoods that have come along, that I'll just go on with the diet that I'm doing, and I'm having an incredible amount of success with it, is a ketogenic diet, basically based in the calories I'm taking in, which I'm liquidarian at this time. That has nothing to do with it. Eating a lot of sprouts that I grow, so in my kitchen, so they're not susceptible to acid rain, to nanoparticulates and all that kind of stuff. I sprout it in my kitchen. That's the basis of my diet. I juice some, not a huge amount of stuff. I try to juice fast or water fast. I'm kind of in a way not like in a fast forward motion heading towards breatharianism, but anyways, the point being of like oils and all of this kind of stuff, if it works, the argument that people didn't do it before is bullshit. Of like, we're setting a new precedent. We never had it. We never had it. People died of infections, starchy glycemic diets, fruit diets. These things all breed poison in your body of pathogens and all that kind of stuff. So he also made an argument to some degree about seasonal stuff and things like that, of like nuts and stuff moving in and out of season. All starchy foods are farmed, so farming is a good thing. So the whole path, what is that paleo thing? Oh, that's ridiculous, with millions and billions of people being here. We got to farm. We got to do things responsibly. Starches, carbohydrates, were actually super rare in North America. There was all of that stuff comes from farming. The Native Americans of North America, they ate mostly hunted meat. This other guy makes other argument, which I'm not down with the meat thing or whatever. There's been cultures that have done it, all that stuff, but it's not where I'm at. It's not what I want to do. It's definitely not futuristic. COVID is from, so many things are just going to come up with trying to farm and make money with meat for too many people. Not going to work. So we got to move into the future. The future is superfoods, coconut oil, olive oil. Coconut oil's a relatively new one. Olive oil has been in longevity cultures for a long time. It's oil. Mind you, if you have things wrong with your liver and stuff, these things aren't going to work, but you can clean out your liver. It's the most regenerative organ that there is. Do some liver gallbladder cleanses, whatever. Sprouts, all these lovely green foods, all these super extracted Chinese tonic herbs, reishi, 10-to-1 extract, eukomia, 10-to-1 extract, MSM, like, oh my God, I was so breaking down I was already headed in a kind of a bad direction, but when I had that brief period where I did paleo, my joints and connective tissue just started falling to pieces, and I fixed it with MSM, hydration, turmeric, extracted turmeric powder, lots of it, black pepper, eukomia, hoshiwu, and all of those at high extraction rates, not just the sort of one-for-one thing that happens with boiling tea. All right, I'm getting up to 25 minutes. That was a super long answer, but I do want to just keep addressing these things of where people get into this sort of mechanical science of ridiculousness, of where it's like, oh, we once knew what we were doing. We didn't know what we were doing. We came out of a period of disaster where it was just all about trying to survive, of trying to eat whatever's available in your local space. People farmed, people learned farming before we were spiritual beings I think that didn't eat hardly anything really. We just lived on prana. All right, that's enough for now. It's Keith. What did I say? I'm going to link the video to the Truth Calkins vegan stuff. Yeah, that's it. And you can look at the comment down below. I forgot the guy's name, but it's in there. It's probably up at the top. Support me by supporting my music. I'm kind of moving into a new era now that I spent 7 months at the Vipassana Center, getting into music, trying to get into finding a whole new trajectory of my lifestyle, of what I'm doing with being more of a creative person, healing with music, and finding my way with art. Always be about nutrition, spirituality, creativity. Creativity is the thing that separates humans from all other beings. Not that other ones are not as creative as we are. Monkeys are sort of creative. Birds are kind of creative with the way they make nests, although there's a lot of that has to do with just slow evolution. Certain animals use tools, that's creative, but for the most part, no other being on this planet can touch us. And we are from outer space. We are descended from gods. Like directly, like we are created. There's no like evolution stuff going on. All right, peace out. Support me by supporting my music. Links in the drop down. secondculture.bandcamp.com. It's Keith from beautiful Big Bear. And your emotions play heavily into stuff as well. Your mental outlook and your devotion to people and your sadness with people. And that was the bit with my mom at the beginning. She's dying away from a broken heart. She doesn't know it. I think I and my sort of metaphysical niece are the only ones that know it. All right. Bye. Bye. Go away. See you. Love you. Namaste. Metta.